Evening, evening.
Morning, morning. How are you
Thank
today?
you.
Perfect. So, Lina, how are you today?
I am fantastic. I am fantastic. It's just I just got up and it's my first coffee, but all
There
is
you go.
fine.
There you go. That's a perfect start.
It is.
I love it. I love it. Well, we'll get back to the show. It is cool. I mean, you were last time we talked. Was it like in August, September?
Could be something like that. I think so.
Right. Right. I mean, it's been a really long time. I mean, it's so amazing to have you here. I mean, what better way to finish up an epic evening with someone as awesome as you? You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you. It's very.
Always.
It's
Tell
good
me what.
to start like
Huh?
this. It's
I'm sorry?
fantastic for me to get to start a day like this.
Yeah.
It's very
Oh,
nice.
perfect. So tell me, what's new since our last chat?
What's new? Well, I am releasing a single. That is what's most new and what's most intensely happening, I would say. And I've worked a lot in voiceover since we spoke. It's something that's grown
Okay.
more and more. I can imagine for a lot of actors, voiceover is a big source of income. It's that for me. Been able to travel a little bit, and we don't have any restrictions anymore here in the part of Europe that I'm in. So life feels like it's back to normal. I got a live gig booked, so it's like concerts are coming back. So that's fantastic.
I love it. So you have been involved in a lot of cool stuff, and the fact that you have done a lot of voiceover, that's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's a fun work.
I love it. That is awesome. And how it's been also this year, but on your music career.
Well, I would say I'm restarting in a sense. A few weeks ago, I got kind of how should I say a stern talking to or some tough love by both my acting coach and a friend of mine who works in the music industry, and both independently of each other were kind of like looking at me and going, Lina, what's your plan? Do you have a plan? Why aren't you releasing music? And they both put me in a position, so I made a plan and got things started, and that's why I'm now sitting with a single that is about like two or 3 days. It should be finished to release. So yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. And so, as I was saying, I mean, since our first chat, you have accomplished a lot of epic stuff here. I mean, you're basically a total badass here, which is awesome. But tell me, like, on your music career, like in general, what has been some of the highlight moments?
In general, like from when we spoke, or just in general in my life?
When we spoke.
Highlight. Oh. Well, one of them, that's acting related, but a big highlight is that I got an agent. That feels like a very big highlight. And we're working both with acting, of course, but he's also encouraging me to write and musicals. That's a fantastic thing. I've started to work with a music producer from Sweden. I'm living in Bucharest, Romania, but I'm from Sweden, as you know.
Yeah.
And because I did a voiceover job, that company, that sound producer, he and I started talking about doing music together as well. So it's also a very fun highlight. I've been working with a lot of new musicians very recently. So that's all things. I'm writing more. That's very exciting.
Yeah, okay. And now that you mentioned writing, I mean, how, like, what usually inspires you, or how you usually prepare a song, you know? Like how you write lyrics? Do you like what inspires you, basically?
It's a very good question because I changed it since before, and that came from in one way I still write in the same way, and the way that I write is usually that I get like a small piece of a song, like a melody or something that gets stuck in my playing the piano, and something gets stuck and I keep repeating it, and I do words in that I just sing whatever comes to mind. It's like gibberish, but there might be one sentence that is like, oh, this one sticks, that needs to be there, and then I have to work around it. But in that working around it, it was also something I did an acting workshop at the beginning of the year, led by my acting coach, who I work with. And in that moment, she told me something that I remember very vividly now. It was really about, like, when you write, Lena, to be more personal, like not trying to please, not trying to write things that other people can see themselves in or whatever, but just be very, very truthful and very personal. And that has been a big change, because I wrote a lot of pop, and I was in competitions, and I did things with Eurovision, kind of. Yeah. And it was very easy to sort of go into, let's write ways so people can understand it or see themselves, make it very generic. And now when I'm writing, and the song that I'm releasing is one of those, it's so personal that, like, if you heard it, you probably would not know what it's about. But for me, it feels like you can see into my brain. It feels like you can kind of, like, everybody's going to know who I'm talking about and what I'm talking about. And it's very vulnerable, but it's more powerful. It feels more powerful. So that's, now I'm just trying to be super honest to the point of it feels comfortable for me to be. Yeah.
Now that you mentioned it, I mean, let's talk about your song Queen, Lina. I mean, like, where the idea to create that song came from?
The idea for that song, as you said, it's named Queen, and it's going to sound a bit weird, but I did an acting exercise. And maybe there's something for your community who are actors that they know of. I did an acting exercise where you embody different characters. And I had a day where it's going to sound weird, but I embodied the idea of a queen. I had to sort of embody that the entire day. Very interesting, because it makes you think differently. Like, one of the things that, just a small example, I was thinking, okay, a queen has to delegate. She doesn't do everything herself. She delegates to other people. So I need to become better at delegating and allowing people to help me. It's very small, subtle things. But while I was doing that exercise, I also had the goal of wanting to write a song. And that's where the sort of little idea came, I would say. Why the song is named Queen is very simply that. And also I was going through some things in my life at the exact moment in time. Kind of, I don't know how to say this without sounding a bit cliche, but reclaiming or acknowledging I'm a powerful person, and not like stopping to dim that to make other people comfortable or to please. And it's like, what is truth to me? And I was also going through personal things, relationship things, that I felt like I was starting over again somehow in life. So it has that element as well, like you pick yourself up again and start over. Yeah,
absolutely. Wow. Okay, that is cool. I mean, we all know that you are a queen. So I mean, it's obvious, right? That's awesome. But like like, how could you describe your music career at this moment? Like right now, how could you describe it?
A fresh restart. Maybe that's more a personal thing when you say it like that. I feel like I've gone from doing things that are very, pop focused and wanting to try to be a pop star, even though I don't really want to be a pop star, I feel very excited about it. I feel like I'm in the where I am writing and putting out music that feels more genuine to me. And then I'll have to see where it goes. Like, instead of trying to fit a radio form or something like that. It feels more aligned. That's what I could say about it.
Okay, I like it. And where can we listen to it?
It will come out in about a week. That's the plan. And I say about a week is because it has a little bit to do with aggregators. For those who don't know, an aggregator is what you use. You put the song into, and that then sends it to Spotify, to iTunes, etc. The mixing should be done by like tomorrow. So the idea is around the 16th that it will be on Spotify, on iTunes, and until then I have a link on my Instagram page. You can sign up for email updates. If you just follow me, then it will come out.
I love it. I'm also going to add those links on the YouTube version and the Spotify and Apple podcast, so they can also check it.
Thank you very
I
much.
love it. I love it. And like in general, like what sets your creativity to go? Like what triggers all of this amazing talent that you have to create something?
Good question. It's like, I don't know about you, but I feel sometimes it's a cliche, but that thing of, if you're an artist, you're an artist, and you can't escape it. So sometimes I feel like I have to work. Like I don't fully believe in the work from inspiration. More like you decide and you sit down, and then ideas will come, and then you leave it and you go back to it, and ideas will
Yeah.
come. But it is that thing of couldn't escape it. Like it's if I try to do other things, I don't feel good. But but to be more practical as an answer, I'm doing things like now where I focus on getting into a state of flow. I
Okay.
dance a lot. I dance every morning. Even if I have to get up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, I will dance to a few songs to get into something, energetically. I go to classes twice a week, which is incredible, and that's tied into the whole thing of creativity in general. And I have that community of people as well, and because of that, I also have people who say, like my friend did, what are you doing? When are your music coming out? What's your plan? And when you have an ability, it's like, oh, fuck, I have to do something. 'Cause that's how I do it. I kind of have to decide to get creative. I can't just be like, I wait for inspiration to strike.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It is so interesting because when you really want inspiration, it never comes, and when you don't care, when you're just doing something else, it comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true too. Like you're in the shower, you're making the dishes or something. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, tell me, like, what motivates you? We all have those days. We want to quit. We think that it's been a waste of time. Like getting inside into all of this toxic thought. It's always super easy. But but for you, what usually puts you out of those thoughts so you can continue this awesome journey that you're creating?
One is that I'm very, very stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person, and it has saved me a lot of times in life. It's something like it sounds maybe negative, but I would say my stubbornness is what keeps me going. So if if I'm in a bad mood or sad about something, or I feel like everybody, I guess, I can feel a lot of doubt, like I'm never gonna make it, a waste of time, and why did I move to another country? Why am I doing this and shit like that? But it's my stubbornness that makes me go, no, you're gonna get up again, So that is a big and then I really believe in, and I know it's woo-woo for some people, but I believe your thoughts create your reality. I believe that found is a mirror. I believe that you can never say that things happen to you or that circumstances matter. It comes like life happens through you, not to you. And that is all kind of responsibility. It can go into self-blame sometimes, which is not good. But in a healthy way, it's more like you have that perspective. For me anyway, it's then I can't blame anything if I'm sad. And that means I have a choice. Like, have a choice. Being motivated is a choice to get up again. But then I would also say having a support system is important. Having that, like, in the acting studio, I mention it a lot because it's a big part of my life. And what we do a lot of exercises that are very focused about like getting back on track, focusing on what's important, being motivated, having a plan, not giving up. That's a very big part of it. So having that every week, that helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
May I ask, how do you do it? Because you've been so consistent with your show and like podcast, and that is to be consistent is hard, really hard.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, so to be honest, I don't know. I just went for it. And one episode became to another one, and then to another one, and then to another one, and I just like stopped thinking of it. I was just doing it. And And like once I realized I had 100 episodes, and then I just kept going, and then I had 150, and then 200, and then 300. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, of course, there are some days in which I feel destroyed. You know, in which I'm super tired, in which I haven't like because back then when I started, I didn't have a job, so I did have a lot of time. So I could do like a lot of stuff and then go to bed like 2 a.m. and then wake up at 10, 11. So that was cool. But then when I found a job because pay bills, um, that's when it became. That's when I saw like okay, because I would, for example, starting work at 8 a.m. and I will go home at 5 p.m. and I will start working with the podcast, and then I will finish like around 1 or 2 a.m. So doing that one night, it's okay. But after 3, 4 nights straight, by the end of the week, you feel destroyed. You just feel that you are not there. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
maybe on body you're there, mentally you just are unaware. So those type of things, of course, that they have kind of slowed me down a little bit. But like what motivates me basically is the fact that I have invested too much time to this, and I want to see like more of it. That it became like if I have already invested too much time to this, I mean, why would I quit? I would feel horrible knowing that I spent a lot of time, a lot of days in which I felt desperate, a lot of sweat, tears, and all of that. So why should I quit? So I just keep moving on it, and at the same time I'm thinking to add like more things, because on Saturday was the first year, so there are gonna be like more things to happen in the future. But just to sum up, how do I do it? I just don't think of it, I just go and see what happens.
Oh, nice. That's very true. And like what you said about investing, I feel that way sometimes too. When you make a big leap, or when you invest, in my case, it's more like to sound dramatic, I left a relationship, I left my country to be able to focus on my career as a creative person. And it's like, if I give up now, like, I can't give up now. I gave up so much to be here. Like, and it's a similar thing. You put in so much effort and so much into it, and you build something. You really build something. And I mean that matters.
And something that I did discover is that in the process of creating this, I mean, I do have lost friendships, and most of my family think that I'm crazy, So at first, when I started this, it was it was making me feel sad, because I was like, I mean, my main support system is telling me to quit. It's telling me that I shouldn't do this, that I look stupid, like all of that. So it did feel. I mean, like the first 3-4 months, I was like, I didn't know if I wanted to continue or not. But then later on, actually one of the people that I've interviewed once told me, I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to continue pursuing your dreams and the thing that makes you happy, you're going to disappoint a lot of people, even close ones, like your parents, brothers, sisters, like really close family and friends. You're gonna disappoint them, but that's okay, because that's your life. It's not theirs. And if you live to please others, it's just going to. At some point you're gonna hate life. At some point you're gonna feel miserable, because you're going to know that you wasted so many time, like so many years, on doing things that you didn't want to, in order to kind of keep like family and friends. But with this, I have discovered that with this platform, I have discovered that sometimes, for example, I'm also planning to move, to another country to continue doing this, and I've discovered that that home is not where you were born. That for some people might think that home is always going to be like your country, like your home country and everything. Yeah, of course, for some people it works, but at least to me, it just doesn't. And as I said, I mean, I do want to continue doing this and to making it something more awesome. But of course, that I understand that it's a process, and if during the process I'm gonna have to lose people, because they don't believe in what I do. I mean, that's that's bad, but at the same time it's okay because you also want to have people who support what you do, you know, and not people that they're gonna be telling you, I told you, you know, or why are you doing this, you know, like things like that. So
That's so true. And I think it's like people will never, like, I think it's a combination, isn't it? It depends on you, people around you, of course, but I resonate with that thing of when you do something that people in your life or parents and family, if they don't understand it, you also change it for them, and that's very uncomfortable.
yeah,
So I think most will react like they disappear, they don't understand it, and they will question it, and also sometimes, like, I feel, and I'm very fortunate, my parents are very supportive, but of course where they can worry, and I completely understand that. It's I'm working in something that's very, very different, but with friends, I for sure felt it more than with my family. I would say friends who've been, they saw either they fall away, or like I had like one friend, and he would say things like, even, and I changed a lot, I feared him a little bit. He would say things, you're too positive, Lina. You have too many friends. And I'm like, what?
yeah,
But it because something, I guess, changed, and then that was uncomfortable. But I know, yeah, it's like, and then I think a lot of people want to done what I'm doing. There's a lot of people who also want to follow their dreams. It'll sound like a cliche, but still. And if they're not doing it, and they see somebody, that can also be can be hard.
yeah, that's true, but you know, like whenever that happened, because it has happened to me, it's just, you know, I mean, the more that you pay attention to it, the more power you give to them. So
Yes,
they don't like it, that's fine. I mean, I think that is like the beauty of the internet, that there's place for everyone. I mean, it doesn't matter what you like, you're always gonna have like a place for that. And but what I don't like, it's whenever they don't like something and they want to destroy it. You know, that is when I would say, I mean, let's agree to disagree. You know, if you don't like something, that's okay. You know, that's fine. But you don't have to destroy it. You don't have to make sure that you're gonna destroy that. You know, because then why, instead of putting all of that energy to destroy something else, why don't you use that energy to create something you want to, and then focus on that, problem solved? But I do think sometimes that maybe we as human beings, we complicate too much sometimes, you know, like we want to, instead of admit our mistakes, we want to put the blame on someone. For example, let's say, right, that if I want to become an athlete, right, a professional football player, and then I would say, well, I couldn't because my father didn't support me, you know, or like things that whenever I will hear that, I would say no. I mean, if you are not an athlete, a football player, whatever, it's because you didn't want to. And if it makes you angry, well, too bad, you know. I mean, if you really want something, you will find a way to make it happen. Yes, it's true. Sometimes you need to find like a temporary job, or to get money so you can buy equipment to it. I can totally understand that. I mean, that's what I did. You know, I mean, if I didn't have like the equipment that I got when I bought it, I wouldn't have been able to make this happen, you know. But I just got it, and I was like, okay, let's make it happen. And it's so interesting because the equipment that I bought, it was to make my DJ sessions. And then later on, I was like, wait a minute, I do have this, and this. I'm gonna make a podcast. So that is also like another thing. If you want to do something, it doesn't. For example, if you want to be in the music industry, right? And you can't sing, that's okay. You can be a music producer. You can be, I don't know, a guitar player, like something. You know, like I do have seen that sometimes if we want something, we will block ourselves from all the different possibilities that we can do. You know, or either you can be, I don't know, like there are so many things here. So yeah, I can understand that, and also like with the friends and family. I mean, with some friends happen too. The fact that they see me now as someone that is like doing a podcast, you know, and like things like that. And what I would say is that if you don't like it, that's fine. You know, I don't care. You know, if you think this is stupid, go ahead. Think that this is stupid. I mean, that is not gonna make me stop. Because as I said before, I do believe that if we pay attention to all the negatives, we are giving those type of people too much, like way too much attention or too much value in our lives. And it's clearly that probably they hate what you do because they want to do something like that. They're afraid of the what if, what people might think or things like that. But that's up to you. I do think that if you want to do something, you should try it. And if you don't like it, that's okay. At least, I mean, if you see like some of my first episodes were horrible. I was like the worst of it. I was feeling like super. I couldn't like being live, like in front of the camera. It was making me super uncomfortable. And later on, you start to feel more comfortable, and later on, you start to be like, okay, like more casual. Be like, if something happens, you're like, okay. So yeah, it's a process. Yeah, it's a shame that sometimes family, like really close family, that you thought that they always gonna support you. I do understand that maybe they are, but they just don't understand, and whenever they want to understand, they still think it's risky. But as I was saying a couple of episodes before, that like one of the cool things that I love about actors and musicians, models, screenwriters, photographers is the fact that you guys took a leap of faith. You create your own way. You didn't took the traditional, I would call it the traditional suicidal routine, which is you go to school, you finish school, you go to university, college, whatever, then you finish, then you find a job in a company, you work there for 30, 40 years, then you retire at 65, 70, and then when you retire at that age, then everybody's gonna tell you, now you can live your dreams, and now you have a lot of money, now you can do blah blah blah. And then I would say, yes, but if I'm 75, I mean, what can I do? Yes, of course that I can do some things, but there are like a lot of amazing things that I could have done when I was, in my 30s, 40s. So it is so, like, that's what I admire about you guys, that you are taking a risk and you are actually making it happen. You are showing us that it is possible. I think that at the same time that you're showing us that it is possible, then it's up to us to decide if we want to create our own ways or if we want to continue, the typical suicidal routine. And it's crazy because the other day I was checking this article in which they were saying that people regularly die, like most of people die on Monday. Imagine this. So when I was like, okay, and like most of those deaths are heart attacks. So I was like,
sure.
So that makes a lot of sense because when you wake up Monday, right? So you woke up, it's Monday, and you're going back to the work that you don't really like. It feels horrible. I've been there, and it feels horrible. You feel like why, like literally you will be saying like, why I don't die right now? Why I don't just die right now and I'm over it. And when you start to think like that, it's awful. And like that is like one of the things that I have discovered is that if you don't like something, regardless if it is well paid or not, if you don't like it, trust me, eventually that thing it's going to come after you. It's going to kill you. It's going to make you feel. I worked for this company 3 years, and I hated it. Like the first year it was really cool, and because of them I wasn't evicted from where I was living because I got money. But later on I started to hate it because it was like the whole environment and like how the toxic the environment was, and like all of that kind of stuff was killing me into at some point in which it wasn't me anymore. I was this angry guy who was smoking all the time with horrible sleeping cycle, horrible with a awful eating disorder. So that's what I would say. I mean, if you want to become an actor, singer, whatever, do it. But at the same time, you can keep your job, but just take it as a temporary job, and then focus on the thing that you love most. Don't jump like I'm gonna quit everything and start like this. Like jumping, because that's super risky. So I don't know if that would be like a good idea. But yeah, I do encourage the people to follow the dreams. You know, we only live once, and why would you do something that we hate for 20, 30, 40 years? I mean, are you crazy? Yeah.
And I think it's very, you touched on so many interesting things. But that particular, it's like, I think what you desire from within, it's like a signal. You desire something for a reason. And then when you don't like something, it's also like, it's like if you believe in God, it's God talking to you. If you believe in, you call it universe, whatever, intuition. But it's that thing of, if you don't like a place, if you feel like it's not for you, but you keep staying in it, it's gonna get worse, because it's like something speaking to you that like, it's leave, go.
Totally.
And I mean, I used to work in a nonprofit before I did acting, and years ago, and I worked with you could say, between schools and big corporations, and I worked with a lot of engineers in particular. And like, I remember just feeling that old model as well, it's an illusion. That old model that we were taught, that worked maybe for our parents, it doesn't really exist anymore. The whole job security thing doesn't exist. So it's like, you could rather go and do something you really love, and that everybody knows it's risky. It's risky to be an artist, you know? Yeah. But it's risky to go and be an engineer as well. Maybe an engineer, they can always get jobs. But it's even in the if you want to go to work with a multinational, whatever, it's also risky.
Oh yeah.
It's like, because it doesn't exist. So you need to love it. Also, like you said, if you do things you don't like, you become a person that's not nice to be around. It becomes very vicious. You become one of those, like you said, one of your friends who wants to destroy things, because that comes from within, you know?
Yeah.
And you can always find people. I say this if people ask me, like how I found my musicians, how I found the acting studio, how I found all the people who understand what I am living now, is because I reached out. Like, I've emailed places, emailed producers and musicians. When I heard about the acting studio, I didn't know a soul that was there. Contacted like Miko, who is the acting coach. I didn't know her. Yeah. And I'm like, how does this work? You know, and at that point, suddenly you find yourself with a lot of people around you who completely understand what you're doing. You know? Yeah. But if you have to, but it's like you said, you have to go for it and reach out and be vulnerable. It's scary, but it works. And yeah. I think it's I use this a lot, or I think about this a lot. It's something that the coach said, that is like much harder to the person who's in the light. It's much easier to be in the dark. People who are watching the stage, people who are sitting in the dark, sitting back and complaining or whatever, that is easy. It is much harder to stay in the light, stay positive, stay doing what you want. But that is where we want to be, right? But it is hard. Like, yeah. Like, to be a positive person is hard. It's like one of the hardest things.
And it's funny because sometimes you'll be like, okay, today I'm gonna be super positive, and everything goes wrong. Like, the whole day is horrible, and you're like, are you serious? You know, like, are you kidding me? So yeah. It's I would say that like, for you to try to be positive and everything. I mean, I've discovered that you can be, but there are times in which it's better if you stay neutral. You know what I mean? Because if you stay like super positive, like, really, I don't know if it's like a sick joke of life that, oh, he's super happy, I'm gonna do something about it, and then everything goes wrong, and you're like, what? You know? So,
in those moments, I try to just go. I can't say I'm keeping it all the time, but I really try to find humor in it instead. Like, when things are just wrong, I try really hard to just go, this would be really funny. And I remember a screenwriter who I met once, and he said, when it comes to humor and comedy, it's never fun for the character. What we are watching in a TV or a film, it's like, and we find it really hilarious, most of the time, from the perspective of the character, it's horrible. It's embarrassing, or they over, or they have crisis in their life. It's humor from the outside. So when my life is like that, I try to be like, okay, what's funny about this? at least. Also, we're living a human experience. This is why acting is so amazing, because in acting you get to use everything in your life, and all of us get angry, sad, and even like I've been told that I'm an aggressively optimistic person, and I am very positive, but I have moments where I'm like, I just want to curse, or I'm super angry, or I think the world sucks. There are moments. It's normal. It's
Yeah, it's totally normal that whenever you feel sad or angry or everything. I mean, I would also say that it's kind of all about perspective. You know what I mean? Like depending how you take things. You know, sometimes we might think that, but like for example, whenever I will go to my work, and I know that I'm running late, I will just say, you know, I would just be like, okay, I'm gonna be late today. You know, what else can I do? If I start to rush things out and be all desperate, it's gonna make my morning miserable, and I'm gonna feel bad. So I know that I'm already gonna be late. So screw it. You know, if something happens, then yes, it's my responsibility, but I can't do anything now. So just to go with the flow, and of course there are some times in which you just can't control it, and you wanna basically curse and all of that. But I think that is kind of part of life as well. You know, like that's life. You know, it sucks, yes, but that's life.
And like you said, neutral is very good. Neutral, I think, is like a good flow state. Actually, we realize that nothing. I don't remember who said this, but the only person who sounds mean to anything in your life is yourself. So the only person who decides if a situation is bad or good is your brain. Like, you can stay neutral to things and be okay. Maybe, like you said, like about being late. I have that because I'm Swedish and I grew up with like you need to be on time. And I remember in school, like when I was a child, you were 5 minutes late to the door. You would have to stand up and be in shape. So it was like, for me, being late is I get very nervous. And here in Romania, here it's more of a, like, I'm not exaggerating. A lot of times it's like if something starts at 9, that means it starts at 9:10 or 9:15. Like people are not that time in this country like in Sweden. So here I rush to things, and I get there and I realize there was no reason for me to work myself up and get worried, and nobody was angry. You know, it's not to say that we should be late all the time, but that the inner state is so important. Like you said, if you're running late, you have to go with like, okay, this, it is what it is, and then you deal, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, of course that is not simple. You know, like in general, it's not simple. And you were saying, I mean, you're gonna have days in which you just feel sad, and that's normal. But I do think also that when you feel like that, it's okay. You can feel bad for a while. I mean, it's okay, but just make sure to get up again and continue doing it. I mean, don't let like all that like those negative vibes to kind of control you, you know, and to determine what are you gonna do for the future and things like that. And I think like at the end, just if you want to do something in life, just go ahead and do it. And if it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, keep trying. And if at some point you hate it, then stop doing it and find something else to do. You know, because as also you were saying, I mean, companies and like places like that. Let's be honest. I mean, whenever I will see someone saying like this company saying like, oh, we treat our employees like family. No, they're not. You know, like when you have an annoying family member, it's gonna stay there forever, regardless. I mean, it's your annoying family member. But when they say that, I'm thinking like, okay, so if I start to be annoying and they treat me as family, then that means that I'm never gonna get fired, you know, because we're family, you know, and families support too. It's supposed to be there for each other and things like that. So I prefer when it's like more honest, you know, like in which they would say like, yeah, we treat our employees good, we pay good, but we're not family. I would say like fantastic, you know, like finally. So, and that was like the thing that happened to me in this company that I worked for years. That they were always they were always portraying to be like the good guys, you know, that, oh, we treat everybody as our families, we don't discriminate, we like, wow, like nothing but sweethearts and amazing people. And but of course, when I discovered all their bullshit, and I start to tell them, like, that's not true, you know, or like pick them up, like, why are you saying things like that? Then that was not cool, you know. And they were trying to play this image of being the tougher ones, which I hate now. And of course, whenever we'll hear something like that, I'm just laughing now, because it's like, come on. So as you were saying too, I mean, why wasting your time on something like this, you know, when you can put time to it? I mean, on your free time, you can if you want to be a singer, you can go to singing lessons here. You can go to, if you want to be an actor, you can study acting on the weekends. You know, like, there's like a lot of things that you can do, but you need to really want it, because if you want to have it, you know. So.
Sorry, no, it was a lag, I think. No, it was really cool. I had a conversation the other week. I was in Sweden. I was visiting, and I met a friend, and I hadn't spoken to her in a long time, and she's been working in marketing. That's why I'm marketing at university. And she's been working on that for years. And I didn't know that her passion from when she was a child. And we were talking about, like, it's possible to start again. And that's also a very nice thing when you, again, it's going to sound, I don't want to sound like pretentious, but what a nice thing is when you do think yourself, like you created your podcast, like went out and started music and acting and took a leap of faith. Suddenly people will come back to you and go, you really inspired me. And not inspired like, oh, you inspired, but just like, you showed me that I can do this, and I can start over. And that's a very nice thing, very nice feedback to get back. But also that thing of, like you said, it's possible to have another job as well. And there's no shame in working at a corporation. Like, it's going to be like what I'm doing now, freelancing. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it's not, like, if people want security, like, I have a lot of friends who work in a more traditional environment and they love security. I am the exact opposite. I thrive on, like, security, I almost said, but, you know, I thrive on not knowing. It's hard, but it's, I love it. And you have to kind of love it, I think, to go freelance or to go. And also, I still work in tourism. There's not a lot of tourism pandemic, but that's a, I have a job that is not art and not music and not acting, but that brings me some income. So, you know, everybody, you create your own way, you know.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, I would say that at the end, just go, you know. If you want to do something, go out there and do it. If you want to stay forever working in a corporation, thing like that, that's fine. The key here is for you to do something that makes you happy. You don't, like, whatever makes you happy, it's fine, but do it, you know. So
you know what, if the thing isn't making you happy, or if it's not, like, happy can sound so freaking, it can sound very generic. People can be like, well, you're happy all the time. I find it's more like meaningful, isn't it? Because when something is meaningful and it matters to you, it can also be difficult, of course. Like, I feel a lot of resistance when I'm gonna write a song, like I'm doing now, releasing a song, and there's a part of me that wants to pull back because it's scary, but it's meaningful. But if it's not meaningful, it's not gonna work. I think most of us have done things. I for sure have done business ideas 10 years ago, whatever, where I was trying to do something that wasn't working, and of course it wasn't working because I didn't want to do that, you know. And like, if you go to a job that you don't like, it's like, if you have that feeling inside that you're supposed to be doing something else, it's not, you're not going to be profitable. You're not going to make or have happiness or have success if you align somehow on the inside.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. That's true here. No. Wow, I love it. I mean, at the end, what can I say? I mean, going back with your career here, it is super cool, inspirational. It is amazing. And, I mean, we all know that it's obvious that a lot of epicness and a lot of cool things are gonna happen near in the future. because you're super talented, and I love it. And that is like one of the things I love about your career, the fact that you are very flexible, doing like a lot of things here and there, you know, like with the music and with the voiceover, things like that. And it's awesome. It's amazing. I love it. I'm basically in love with your career because it is fresh and it's something that that you keep doing it because it's super cool.
Oh, I want to add, because you said something before, and now it came back to me. Sorry for the noise of the building outside my window. But
That's okay.
anyway, anyway, I wanted to add this. You said before, voiceover for me, when I grew up, I thought my speaking voice was horrible. I recorded my singing when I think the first time I was 14 or 15.
Okay.
And I loved it. Now, I was very surprised because, you know, usually you hear yourself being recorded the first time. Like, first time I heard myself recorded speaking, I thought it was horrible. When I heard my singing voice, I was like, this I like. I recognized it somehow. But for years, I mean until like maybe 2 years ago, and I'm 37 now, I hated my speaking voice. Not hated, but I couldn't stand listening to it. I would do voiceover, but I didn't do it myself at the time. Like, about 10 years ago, I did voiceover, but in a studio with producers. And when they were editing, I would be like, I would leave the room. If I heard my through their headphones, I would be like, I can't stand it. I couldn't stand it. I had like really strong kind of, didn't like it. And funny thing, now, you become used to it because I work so much with it. I record myself all the time. Now I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But I've also, even when I didn't like it, I had so many people who would compliment my voice. Now I make a living out of my voice. And it's just, find it a bit funny because it's perspective.
Yeah.
Somehow. And also like, I don't know, it was so much insecurity and so much projection that I put on, you know, hearing my voice and made into something difficult. And sometimes there's beauty in that if you can release all that. And also I had a similar thing to you. My little home studio that I have behind, all of that I have because of music. And then with the pandemic, it was like, oh, I could do voiceover from home. The voiceover I kind of fell into again because, you know, I had the things. Like you said about podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I do have a lot of, and I still have a lot of things that I thought, I'm like, okay, one day I'm going to use them, but yeah, I mean, as I said, things happen for a reason. Sometimes those hard moments are the beginning for something good in the future, but you need to stay positive and at the same time keep working hard, you know, for those things to happen. Otherwise, they're not going to come for free or to be like, oh, you know what I mean? So,
for sure.
In the meantime, I mean, as I was, saying here, Lina, I mean, you're super awesome, talented, badass, amazing. I mean, I can go all night saying nothing but epic stuff to you because you totally deserve it. Also, I want to thank those watching this right now. Thanks so much for watching. I mean, if you're watching this later here on Instagram or later on YouTube, or if you're on your way to work, walking with a dog, or just listening on awesome episodes here on my podcast, thank you very much. Go follow Lina on all of social media. Let's make it viral. Hashtag Team Lina because she's awesome. She's badass. And before I send you off, I don't know if you still remember, but I do have a tradition here. So before I send you off, I need to send you off properly with an epic send-off. You know, as someone as talented, awesome, and badass as you. So here we go.
I'm ready.
I mean, you deserve this and a lot more, and I promise that one day we're gonna have thousands of people cheering you on because you're so cool and awesome and amazing. And I'll see you in the next one.
Much. I was going to say congratulations to you and the whole created. It is a big effort and it's a big achievement. And thank you for having me on. Really, thank you.
Thank you again, and have a good day. And pick up going weekend. And
sleep well. Have a nice night and sleep well.
I will. And I'll be in touch and